til Bøje Larsens blog. Jeg håber, du vil glædes over den video, jeg præsenterer i dag.
On the last day of 1967, the atomic war that would have destroyed everything on Earth was predicted to start. It would destroy 1 billion people of the world's population. 1 billion would be saved by flying saucers. But the atomic war did not come. This video explains why it did not come. The atomic war was predicted by the god Ordhan, which was an alias for Jesus Christ. He was trusted and worshipped by many all over the world. These people were called contactees. The contactee movement started in the 1950s and claimed to have had contact with extraterrestrial beings like Ordhan. Contactees believed in UFOs, which means unidentified flying objects from space. Also, the U.S. military was tracking records of UFOs and in different time periods was open to the possibility that there was actually something coming to us from space. In Denmark, there was also a group of contactees. I was a member of their group, with their permission, in order to study them. I wrote my master's thesis at the Copenhagen Business School about them. Other students at CBS wrote of, for instance, plans for selling toothpaste. I wanted something else. I had read about the Danish contactees, and Denmark called the Orthon movement, in one of the national newspapers. I phoned one of the leading members and asked him if I could participate in one of their weekly meetings. I understood from the newspaper that they had these meetings. My phone call took place around the 1st of December 1967, a month before the world-destroying war. The man I talked to did not, however, seem excited, worried, or extremist. He sounded like a schoolteacher on a good day. And I later found out that he was actually a schoolteacher. The schoolteacher answered that I could participate. I had worried that they did not want non-believers to participate, but the teacher said that I could come. I later found out that his last name was Jensen. They were open to visitors. This was not a closed section. So, at the next meeting, I was there. The meeting took place in the small town of Borup, 50 kilometers southwest of Copenhagen. The meeting place was the local community house. Around 25 people were present. In front of us was a table where 3 leading members of the group were sitting, including schoolteacher Jensen, who was number 3 in the group, and the leader of the group, Nud Weeking. At the meetings, Nud Weeking stood up and told what Ordhan had told him, namely that an atomic war would come at the mentioned date, mainly because Ordhan was dissatisfied with humanity and its lack of belief in him. And Weeking told more of Ordhan's recent thoughts. These thoughts were also published by the group and can today be had at the Danish Royal Library. I soon found out that one of the members of the audience was also a non-believer, the psychologist and assistant professor Hans Welser from the University of Aarhus, Denmark. He was, like me, there to study the group, which because of the group's openness to non-believers had accepted him also. Hans Welser told me that he was interested in the group because there were a number of scientific studies of such doomsday groups, including of the contactees. Among the earliest was the 1956 study, When Prophecy Fails by Leon Festinger, Henry Riecken, and Stanley Schachter. As scientists must have, they had a theoretical framework called dissonance theory. Dissonance theory argues that it is difficult for a human being, at the same time, to have 2 elements in their head which contradict each other. For instance, you cannot tell everybody that you prefer the truth and then at the same time lie most of the time. Not for moral reasons, but because it hurts inside. Your reaction, predicts dissonance theory, is either to deny to yourself that you have been lying or perhaps start telling others that one should not always talk the truth. That would reduce the dissonance, especially if you can convince most people that it is okay not always to talk the truth. Festinger and Associates made a study of a contactee group similar to the Danish Ordhan group, which had also made a prophecy which failed sometimes in the 1950s. Naturally, it is a serious dissonance for the members when they publicly prophesied doomsday at a certain date. And then doomsday does not happen. So, what did the group and the members do? They started to recruit new members. Out of the idea, thinks Festinger, that if you can convince more people of the truth of their doomsday message, the dissonance of the members will be reduced. I made Festinger and colleagues study the basis of my dissertation also. You will later hear if Festinger's expectation, trying to recruit more members, corresponds to my observations of what the Danish Ordhan group did after there was no atomic war by the end of 1967. Here you see my description of the members of the Danish Ordhan group. I do not in my dissertation give the members' real names, but pseudonyms in the left column. Per Nordling is my pseudonym for Nud Viking. Erling Hansen is the synonym for teacher Jensen. In the second column, I give their occupation. Viking alias Nordling had a small taxi company. But as you can see, there are also some more educated people. Hansen alias Jensen is a schoolteacher in the commune. And so forth. Column 3 gives the ages. Column 4 gives their status in the group. In the lower part of my table, I talk about Group 2, in English Group 2. These are the not-so-strong believers. Here one finds a dentist, a lawyer, 2 merchants, and more. I will give you some time to digest this table. I participated in 4 meetings in the group in December. And then came Christmas and the approaching New Year, when the world would be destroyed in the war. In order to protect humanity against the prophesied war, the group had to build an atomic war bunker and shelter Ordhan had ordered. And they started to build it on a field outside the hamlet of Borup. It could not, perhaps, contain all humanity, but at least the group members. But I guess this was in accordance with Ordhan. Members of the group, including the merchants, were financing it. Another member, who was in his daily life a builder, was with his machines, employees, and some help from the Ordhan group members, building the bunker. When New Year was approaching, I asked leader Nud Viking if I could be with him and follow him. To my surprise, he said yes. So, I was together with him on the last day of the year in 1967. As a student and single, I had no obligations for New Year's evening. Viking was a kind and low-profile man in private. I think we were at his place in Borup. And nothing happened. No war. Outwardly, he did not seem shaken. At least, he did not show that to me. But inside, he must have felt a strong dissonance between what he had publicly announced about the atomic war, which had also been in the press including the building of the bunker, and the reality of no war. And then, on the first day of 1968, Viking got help. I was not with him on that day, but heard about it later. A man close to the group had come to Viking and told him that a doomsday machine, which the man had invented, was what Ordhan had prophesied about. There was no actual machine. It was a fantasy in the visiting man's mind. But Viking, in his dissonance, accepted the idea. In his later preaching to the group in January, he said that Ordhan with his predictions had wanted to scare mankind and make it understand that it had to turn around and not use nuclear weapons. Ordhan wanted to help humanity. In this way, Viking and later most of the group members solved his and their dissonance. He and the group did not need to try to recruit new members, as in the Festinger study. And did not do it. After several months, the group slowly withered away. And I wrote my dissertation. And the world was saved from an atomic war.